Shalom. This week here in the land of Israel, we begin the fourth of the 5 books of Moshe, the book of Bamidbar, literally in the desert. And our Torah portion this week is Parashat Bamidbar, the first Torah portion in Sefer Bamidbar. This book is also known as the Book of Numbers, and indeed, our sages refer to it as Chumash HaPikudim, the Book of Reckonings, because at its onset, as well as further on, there is a census of the tribes conducted by Moshe as instructed by God. But why the book begins with this census is another question. After completing the book of Vayikra, which is, after all, the manual for the divine service in the Mikdash, the temple, and the general guide for holiness for Israel, we now return to the present reality. Israel is preparing to soon enter the land that God swore to the forefathers. Remember that chronologically speaking, we haven't yet reached the cataclysmic event of the sin of the spies' evil speech against the land and the people's hysterical reaction to that sin, which takes place in another 4 portions from now, Parashat Shalach. And this whole book, Bamidbar, is about travels, about stopovers, some long and some short. It's about way stations. This book documents a time of being unsettled, sometimes in transit, sometimes in a holding pattern, and after God's decree of 40 years of wandering until the end of that generation, as we will learn, then the waiting will be even longer. This book is about waiting, about being on the way, about being in between. And this word, Bamidbar, in the desert, perhaps a better translation would be in the wilderness. This word midbar describes a place that is not fit for human habitation, not orderly, not organized for living. As Moshe will call it later in Deuteronomy 1:19, the great and awesome wilderness. The way is perilous and fraught with danger, sworn enemies that seek to uproot and destroy the entire nation, snakes and scorpions, which also represent the forces of evil that we all come against as we travel through this world. All that is adversarial. It takes effort to traverse this place. As Job said, it's the land whose darkness is like pitch blackness, a shadow of death and without order. Yet this environment, by divine design, was the crucible for the formation of the people of Israel. Look how the Parsha describes, after the census, the formation of the camps of Israel around the tabernacle. We learn here about the arrangements of the encampment of the nation around the tabernacle in the desert, and the responsibilities of the Levitical families, the particular charge of each family with regards to the tabernacle. In the pattern of the encampment of the children of Israel in the desert throughout their wanderings on their way into the land, we find here that Torah is very specific about who goes where. The Levites surrounded the tabernacle, and closest to them, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zvulun. From the south, Kehat, and next to them, Reuven, Shimon, and Gad. From the west, Gershon, and next to them, Ephraim, Menashe, and Binyamin. From the north, Merari, and next to them, Dan, Naphtali, and Asher, with 7 clouds of glory surrounding all of them. We also learn of an amazing tradition, teaching of our sages, that this pattern of the encampment around the tabernacle in the desert was known by our forefather Yaakov, Jacob, but even more so, it was actually established by Yaakov, because this was the very same pattern that he commanded his sons, who gathered around his deathbed at the time of his death, to take up his coffin when he would depart this world. And this midrashic teaching concludes. He said to them, "Do as I command you, and the Holy One, blessed be He, will rest flags upon you." When Jacob passed away, he fulfilled his command, as the verse testifies, and his sons did for him exactly as he instructed them. Genesis 50:12. And as we will learn, this was the order of their travels. Moshe had a sign. He knew when the cloud of glory that accompanied the camp was getting ready to move. So when he knew it was time for the camp to get ready to move, he would say, as we will encounter further in Numbers chapter 10 and verse 35, he would say, "Arise, Hashem, and let your enemies be dispersed, and let those who hate you flee from before you." And the cloud would start to move. They prepared themselves to depart. The trumpets were sounded. The Ark of the Covenant went before the camp. The prince of the tribe of Yehuda advanced first with his flag, followed by each tribe in turn. And these banners, the flag of each tribe, are very significant. Each flag bore a symbol and a color, and the color of each flag was the color of each tribe's stone worn on the breastplate over Aaron's heart. But this Midbar, what is it about this Midbar, this desert wilderness, that God should choose it to be the place for his people to prepare themselves for their lives for him? As we mentioned, it's a stark and harsh and dangerous place. So why did Hashem decree that the nation should first establish itself there? So open up your heart in the deepest way. Actually, the more we consider, the more we understand this concept of the Midbar, the more we see how fitting a setting it really was, this crucible of spiritual development, and how apropos a lesson for us in our world of spiritual darkness and the snakes and scorpions we have to deal with as we try to live for him and to cling to his Torah. Despite the desert's foreboding nature, the Torah itself praises the relationship between the Torah, the desert, and Israel, making it clear that this was the perfect place for the giving of the Torah, for its spiritual acquisition, and for Israel's formative period. In the song of Parashat Chukat, later in Numbers 21:18, the verse describes the giving of the Torah in Hebrew as Mimidbar Matana, a gift from the wilderness. Commenting on this verse, our sages instruct us, why was the gift of the Torah given in the wilderness? In order to teach us that if one makes himself like the wilderness, with a willingness to be trodden upon by all, then Torah is given to him as a gift. In other words, God's choice of the milieu of the desert symbolizes the level of humility and lack of ego that befits one who wishes to truly deserve to receive and internalize the message of Torah. And in Moshe's song of Parshat Ha'azinu, in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 10, the verse recalls, "He found them in a desert land and in a desolate, howling wasteland. He encompassed them and bestowed understanding upon them. He protected them as the pupil of his eye." Song of Songs, chapter 3 and verse 6, praises Israel with the words, "Who is this coming up from the wilderness?" And Hashem himself expresses profound affection for Israel, recalling his early love for them in Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 2, instructing the prophet, "Go and call out in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, so said Hashem, I remember to you the loving kindness of your youth, the love of your nuptials. You're following me in the desert, in the land not sown." One of the major topics our portion deals with is the order of the camp, how the entire camp of Israel surrounds the inner heart, the innermost points of light and truth around the tent of meeting, around the camp of the Shekhinah, the divine presence. It's important to remember, as the book of Numbers begins, that all of this is in preparation for soon entering into the land. So we start with the camp of the Shekhinah because the soul comes before the body. Before entering into the land and settling it, the nation must understand and internalize what sustains and empowers them, and what's their purpose in this world, the divine presence. This is the meaning of the verse, chapter 2 and verse 2. "The children of Israel shall encamp, each man by his banner, according to the insignias of their father's household. At a distance surrounding the tent of meeting shall they encamp." The tent of meeting, the heart of everything that is, representing Hashem's presence, is the unifying factor, which joins and unites the people throughout all the desert hardships. Without this heart, there can be no purpose and there can be no nationhood. And so, because this concept is so important, the question is raised, why not just start the book directly with the arrangements for the tribes around the tabernacle? Why does it start with the census? And what is the census purpose? The illustrious sage, the Ramban, Nachmanides, relates to this question. He says, we needed to know the order of the flags, but why the numbers of the people at this particular point? One of his explanations is that the nation had to get ready for war, because now they're preparing to enter the land where they'll have to fight with the kings of the Amorites and everybody else who will come against them. As Moshe will declare, we are going to the place that Hashem has sworn to our fathers. And Moshe needed to know the numbers of the fighters under his command. Also, upon entering, the land would be divided among the tribes, and he needed to ascertain the needs of each tribe towards that allocation. For recall, states the Ramban, that without the incident of the spies, they would have been entering immediately. The Ramban's insight is quite significant. The nation's purpose is indeed to live its life focused on the inner heart, the resting of the Shekhinah, but to really live that life, real practical life in this world, that's the goal. The environment of the desert was conducive to the giving of the Torah and Israel's initial spiritual development. God stayed very close to the people during that period. But it wasn't his intention for them to stay there. It may have been romantic, idealized, as Jeremiah calls it, the loving kindness of your youth. You followed me into an unsown land. But it wasn't God's idea for them to get stuck there. The goal now is to enter the land. And the people can never forget this goal for one moment. The desert, with all its spiritual benefits, should never be turned into an ideal. That was the mistake of the spies on one level, as we shall learn. In order to prevent this mistaken idea, Torah commands that the people be counted to prepare for war. Because the purpose of all this stay in the desert, this huge journey, is to enter the land and to conquer it. Indeed, Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel, lives with an ostensible dichotomy, a dual life, if you would. On the one hand, the nation is commanded to establish itself and conduct itself as a nation in every sense, totally involved in the dynamic of this very physical world. On the other hand, the people of Israel have a divine mandate to enlighten the world and to demonstrate and model its true inner point of connection with the Creator. The people of Israel are to be the connector. So our parsha begins with a counting, poised towards the land of Israel, preparing every aspect of the nation's readiness. But before entering, we are reminded of the whole point of it all, the heart that gives and sustains life and illuminates everything, the divine presence. Please open up your heart. Two important days are approaching. Jerusalem Day, the 28th of the month of Iyar, this Sunday, which is the anniversary. This year it will be the 52nd anniversary of the liberation and unification of Jerusalem in the miraculous 1967 Six-Day War. And exactly 1 week following Jerusalem Day, on the 6th day of the month of Sivan, we will be observing the festival of Shavuot, festival of the first fruits of the year, and the anniversary of the Sinai revelation, the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. By divine appointment or design, these two dates fall within 1 week of each other exactly, and they share a singular common theme. Something there is about Jerusalem Day that serves to prepare us for a renewal of our commitment to accept the yoke of heaven, meaning the responsibility of our divine covenant with God through the observance of His commandments. Jerusalem Day is an emotionally charged day of great spiritual significance for the people of Israel and for all those who love the God of Israel. For we all know how much the Holy One, blessed be He, cherishes the city of Jerusalem. Our prophets tell us that from this city, the knowledge of God will once again flow to the entire world when the Holy Temple is rebuilt. We've already begun to see the beginning of this prophecy in our own lifetime. Shavuot and Jerusalem Day are both manifestations of the unity of all of Israel. Regarding Shavuot, we are taught that the people of Israel reached the highest level of unity at the festival of the giving of the Torah. When God asked them if they were truly ready to receive His Torah, they answered together in one voice like one man with one heart, all which Hashem has said, we will do and we will obey. Exodus 24:7. Jerusalem also has a special power to unify its inhabitants. As King David sings in Psalms 122, Jerusalem the rebuilt, like a city that is built up together. And as the sages explain these words, the city that connects all of Israel to each other. Jerusalem doesn't only connect all of Israel, it connects heaven and earth. Jerusalem is a conduit, the receiver and connector of all our prayers, as we find in the book of Kings, Kings 1, chapter 8 and verse 48. And they will pray to you by way of their land that you gave to their fathers, and by way of the city that you chose, and by way of the temple that I built for your name. Jerusalem is so many things, it's everything. It's the city of Hashem's house and the kingship of Israel, the chosen place of the temple, the Holy of Holies, the altar. Everything draws its life force from this source of holiness. And the secret of Jerusalem's eternity and holiness emanates from its being chosen by God. No wonder Jerusalem Day is 1 week before the giving of the Torah at Shavuot. We connect to Jerusalem in our generation, and through that connection we can prepare for receiving the Torah anew. As the spiritual Torah was designed and intended by God for this physical world, so too Jerusalem is the connector between the physical and the spiritual. Isaiah the prophet declares, chapter 66 and verse 10, "Rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad with her, all you that love her. Rejoice for joy with her, all you that did mourn for her." Our prayer is, may the Jewish people stay forever united as when we were camped around the tabernacle, around the beating heart of the presence of God, as we were at Sinai, like one man with one heart, as we were in the miraculous victory of Jerusalem Day, as Jerusalem connects all of Israel to each other, and thus shall we merit, with God's help, to the complete and ultimate redemption. Happy Jerusalem Day.